Jerome Mayhew.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vickers. And it's very reassuring to have a friendly, if entirely impartial, face in the chair, surrounded as I am by members of my opposition, at least. And I thank the Honourable Member for Reading Central for securing this debate and for the tone in which he led it, actually, and his generous sharing of congratulations for the work that went in behind the creation of the Elizabeth line. And there have been excellent contributions, which I'm going to leave the Minister to highlight, because that's his role, not mine. But there's lots to celebrate in our transport network, but we do need to go further to increase connectivity, to react to demographic changes, and also to react to changing work practices as well. And this is something which the last Conservative government tackled head-on. You may not have realised it from the tone of some of the contributions today, but in fact, over the last period, more than £100 billion was invested in our railways. And during the last Conservative and Conservative-led governments, 1,265 miles of line was electrified. And I'm going to spare the blushes of the Honourable Member for Reading Central for his Christmas quiz. But were he to ask at Christmas, how many miles were electrified under the previous 13 years of Labour government? It wouldn't be 1,265, it wouldn't even be 65, but 63 miles. So there's clearly been a step in the right direction over the last decade. There's also been investment in Midlands Rail Hub, the Northern Powerhouse Rail, the Access to All programme, and I'll come back to some of those a little bit in further detail. But we're here primarily to celebrate the Elizabeth line. And it has been a huge success. It was a courageous, large-scale project that has actually delivered and continues to deliver, and I hope will continue to deliver for many years to come, for not just the residents of London, but the South East more generally, and UK PLC. I'd mention in passing that it doesn't have to be over time and over budget. When it was being managed by the previous Conservative Mayor of London, he left it on time and on budget, and if it no longer followed that path, perhaps we should ask Sadiq Khan on his quality of project management. But it has created, as the member for Reading Central said, £42 billion of economic benefit in just 2 years, 8,000 jobs and 55,000 homes built. This is unequivocally a success story for London and the greater region. But the next project for London and the South East is the Lower Thames Crossing. We've got huge bottlenecks at the Dartford Crossing, and the previous government was progressing with the Thames Crossing, and it's now been kicked into the long grass by the government. I think that's a genuine cause for concern for connectivity in the South East, and I fear that it may lead to the next step, which is cancellation. So will the Minister take this opportunity to reassure the House and the many people who are watching this debate, no doubt, that the Thames Crossing is still very much on course and part of this government's projections for infrastructure development in the South East? But it's not just in the South where there's delay and doubt being generated by the new government. We have Labour potentially failing in the North as well, Mr. Vickers, because Network North funding is now in doubt as we wait for the government's infrastructure strategy. You may ask yourselves, what is the Network North funding? Well, it's this. It's £19.8 billion of investment into Bradford's new station and a mass transit system for Leeds and West Yorkshire. It's £12 billion of investment in stronger connections between Manchester and Liverpool. And it's £9.6 billion on the Midlands Rail Hub and improving 50 stations in that area. And it's not just rail where doubt is creeping into our infrastructure development projects, but there are major road improvements that have been cancelled by this government already, just in the first few months. We've got the A5036 at Princess Way, the A358 Taunton to Southfields, close to my home, the A47 Great Yarmouth Vauxhall Road roundabout, the A1 Morpeth to Ellingham. We've got the Restore Your Railways programme cancelled. So it's a terrible start in just a few months. So I asked the Minister, is it his intention to follow the example of his colleagues in Wales? Is it the intention of this government to deprioritise road infrastructure? Is it his intention that we will have a no new roads policy? Because it's beginning to sound like it. And if he doesn't agree with that policy, will he take this opportunity to explain to this House why it's a bad idea, both in England but also in Wales? And will he move against the imposition of 20 mph speed limits without local consultation? Will he take the opportunity to put in place the already drafted, updated guidance on how these schemes should be put in place that was prepared by the last government and is ready to go? And if he won't, perhaps he would explain why that is not a good idea. So, the record so far, Mr. Vickers. St. Francis of Assisi might possibly have quoted, probably didn't in fact, but he could have said, Labour brings doubt where there was direction, brings indecision where there was investment, brings delay where there was dynamism. And instead, what have we got? We have inflation-busting pay rises with no working practice reforms to the unions. Paid for, how? By debt, yes. By increased taxes on poor pensioners, certainly. By jacking up bus fares by 50%, that's true too. And by delaying critical infrastructure. So, Mr. Vickers, the government needs to think again. And I hope the Minister will take this opportunity of this excellent debate, and I again congratulate the member for Reading Central for giving the Minister this opportunity to provide some clarity, to focus on transport users, not just the unions, and to recommit to key transport infrastructure investments across this country.